Overwatch. As you move. Negative. Protocol requires all Overwatch eliminated before assault phase. Protocol won't matter if we lose time window, Alexis countered. The corridor is 70% established. After a brief pause, Poseidon moving from elevated position. Alexis could see SEAL team begin advance, 6 figures moving across terrain that until moments ago had been killing zone. The 6th target had repositioned behind substantial cover, leaving only rifle barrel visible. She adjusted aim for small rock face 2 feet left. The specialized round would strike rock at precise angle, creating stone fragments functioning as lethal secondary projectiles. Crack! The shot struck exactly as intended. Through scope, Alexis watched deadly ricochet tear into hidden sniper's position. Target 6 eliminated, moving to position 7. The 7th position required descending ridge. Speed now outweighed stealth. The SEAL team was committed vulnerable without complete Overwatch elimination. Reaching 7th position, Alexis deployed rifle with desperate speed. The 7th target was most difficult, yet a sniper in rock crevice 1,600 meters away, presenting target barely larger than human eye. Afternoon winds had intensified, creating variable gusts, defying prediction. Alexis licked finger and held it up, feeling rather than measuring air currents. Breathe, feel, become one with bullet's path. Crack! For terrible moment, nothing happened. Then target slumped forward, bullet finding mark through opening barely larger than round itself. Target 7 eliminated, moving to final position. The 8th position was most exposed yet, bare outcropping offering only possible angle on final sniper nest. It would leave her completely vulnerable, but last sniper had reinforced bunker with firing slits covering compound's main entrance. As Alexis moved toward this suicidal position, Wilson's voice came with uncharacteristic urgency. Thermal imaging has identified 9th position, ridgeline directly above your current position, approximately 300 meters. Direct line of sight on your approach to 8th position. The realization struck with cold clarity. The surgeon had anticipated her entire plan, positioning himself to eliminate her at exact moment she would be most vulnerable. "I'm compromised," she stated flatly. Poseidon team final Overwatch position remains active with direct coverage of breach point. Hayes' response was immediate, adjusting to secondary breach point east wall. But Alexis knew this was exactly what the surgeon wanted, forcing SEAL team into less favorable approach, channeling them into pre-sighted killing zones. "Can you get me direct visual on 9th position?" she asked, sending thermal overlay to tactical display now. Image appeared on screen at her wrist. Clear heat signature in concealed position and distinctive outline of man with rifle, positioned with perfect sightlines to both her planned route and compound entrance. Alexis studied terrain between her position and 8th sniper nest. No covered approach existed. Then her eyes caught detail on thermal image. Small blind spot created by rock formation between the surgeon's position and target. "I need diversion," she decided. Something to draw the surgeon's attention for approximately 20 seconds. She removed small device from tactical vest, remote-triggered infrared strobe for emergency extraction marking. "On my mark, trigger strobe. I'll move during momentary distraction." Alexis took deep breath, mentally mapping route. 30-meter sprint across exposed terrain to blind spot, followed by precision shot at 8th sniper nest. Execute. Strobe activated, creating brilliant infrared signature, invisible to naked eye, but obvious through night vision or thermal optics. Almost immediately, shot rang from the surgeon's position, striking area around decoy. Alexis was already moving, pushing body to absolute limit. 15 meters, 20 meters, 25 meters. Another shot rang out. The surgeon realized deception and tracked her movement. Round struck rock near head, showering her with fragments.
30 meters. She reached blind spot, tiny area of safety in landscape of death. Chaitak deployed in fluid motion. Through scope, she acquired 8th sniper nest, 1,800 meters away, occupied by a shooter tracking SEAL team's movement toward eastern wall. Most difficult shot yet. Extreme distance, shifting winds, psychological pressure of knowing the surgeon was adjusting to acquire her again. No time for elaborate calculations. This shot would come from heart as much as mine. Crack. Target aid eliminated. Shadow corridor complete. Poseidon team clear approach to primary breach point. Hayes acknowledged immediately, redirecting to primary breach. Alexis allowed moment of satisfaction. Against overwhelming odds, she had eliminated all 8 Overwatch positions, creating promised path for assault team. But personal mission confrontation with the surgeon was just beginning. Slow, mocking applause came through radio. "Impressive, little ghost," the surgeon's voice purred. "Your father would be proud. But you've overlooked most important lessons I taught you." "And what's that?" Alexis asked, moving to more protected position. "Always save 1 bullet for yourself," he replied coldly. 9th shot rang from above, finding mark with terrifying precision. Pain exploded through Alexis's body as round tore through left shoulder, spinning her violently to ground. Chaitak fell from grasp, clattering against rocks. "Ghost Hunter hit," she gasped into radio. "I am combat ineffective." As darkness threatened consciousness, she heard Wilson's desperate voice, and below in valley, first sounds of SEAL assault on compound. Mission continued, but world dissolved into a red haze of pain. The last thing she heard before consciousness slipped away was the surgeon's voice, intimate and triumphant. "Like father, like daughter. History repeats itself, after all." Consciousness returned in painful fragments. First searing agony in left shoulder, then warm wetness of blood-soaking tactical gear. Finally, distant sounds of combat, automatic weapons, grenades, shouted commands. Eyes fluttered open to sky turned blood red by setting sun. How long? Unconscious? Minutes? "Ghost Hunter, do you copy?" Wilson's voice tense with worry. With trembling fingers, she activated transmitter. "Ghost Hunter, still operational." "Thank God. Medical status." Alexis assessed wound with clinical detachment. Bullet enter left shoulder from above, passing through the joint with devastating effect. Exit wound on back. Significant blood loss. Combat effectiveness severely compromised. GSW left shoulder through and through. Bleeding controlled. "Poseidon status," she asked, professional focus reasserting, despite pain. "Compound breached. Hayes reports 11 hostages secured. 1 still missing, Dr. Chambers." With supreme effort, she pushed to sitting position. Chaitak rifle lay nearby, apparently undamaged. The surgeon, location unknown. No visual confirmation inside compound. Hayes suspects relocation with Dr. Chambers to secondary position. Alexis's tactical instincts screamed warning. The surgeon wouldn't abandon carefully constructed trap without contingency. This entire scenario had been orchestrated specifically to draw her in. "He's still here," she stated with certainty. "Watching, waiting for the final act." Using rifle as makeshift crutch, she struggled to feet. Pain transformed into a dull roar at the edge of consciousness, present, but no longer commanding attention. "Ghost Hunter, medical status requires immediate evacuation," Wilson insisted. "Negative. Mission incomplete, while the surgeon remains active and Dr. Chambers remains missing." She began moving toward a new vantage point. Through scope, she surveyed battlefield below. SEAL teams secured main compound building, evidenced by operators at key defensive positions. Sporadic gunfire indicated pockets of resistance still being eliminated. Memory surfaced through pain. Training years ago. When cornered, create final demonstration of superiority. Leave pursuers with a lesson they'll never forget. Inform Hayes that the surgeon rigged the compound, likely explosive devices on timer or remote detonator. How can you be sure? Wilson questioned. Because it's what he taught me to do, Alexis explained grimly. New thermal imagery appeared on wrist display. Heat signature moving rapidly through tunnel system beneath the compound. Underground egress route, Wilson identified. 2 heat signatures, one likely Dr. Chambers.
Chambers based on size and movement pattern. The surgeon escaping with highest value hostage. Compound explosives would eliminate evidence, possibly kill SEAL operators, create perfect distraction for extraction. I'm pursuing the surgeon, she decided instantly. Negative, you're wounded and significantly outmatched. If the surgeon reaches extraction point with Dr. Chambers, we lose both hostage and opportunity to eliminate target. Using terrain for concealment, she navigated toward ravine indicated in thermal imagery. Czech felt twice as heavy, pulling agonizingly at wounded shoulder. EOD team located multiple explosive devices throughout compound. Hayes reported professional setup on timers, 15 minutes until detonation. Hostages secure? Alexis asked tersely. Affirmative. 11 packages ready for extraction. Still no sign of Dr. Chambers. Satellite shows small clearing 2 kilometers east that could serve as helicopter LZ, Hayes continued. Intermittent communication signatures consistent with aerial extraction. Through sheer will, Alexis reached RGLE line overlooking suspected extraction point plateau, nestled between towering rock formations. Perfect for helicopter touchdowns, sheltered from observation. Using legs and torso to stabilize massive rifle, she established shooting position, compensating for wounded shoulder. Through scope, she confirmed the surgeon's presence. Victor Orlov stood at edge of clearing. Beside him, Dr. Chambers knelt with hands bound, fear evident even at distance. Range 2,100 meters. Beyond effective range of weapon system, beyond capability of all but handful of snipers worldwide. Thermal confirms helicopter inbound from east approximately 5 minutes out. As she made ballistic calculations, new transmission crackled through radio, open frequency accessible to all operators. I know you're watching, little ghost, the surgeon's voice, calm despite circumstances. One final lesson before we part ways. Through scope, Alexis watched his barrel of sidearm pressed against Dr. Chambers' head. The lesson is simple. You failed. Just like your father failed in Somalia, just like your mother failed 5 years ago. The Morgan family legacy is one of noble failure. Don't let him get to you, Wilson warned. He's trying to force premature shot. You have one chance, Alexis. The surgeon continued. One impossible shot to save this woman's life, but we both know you won't take it. Risk of hitting hostage too great. He was right. At this distance with compromised physical state, margin for error measured in millimeters. Another option the surgeon proposed. Surrender yourself. Walk into clearing unarmed and all release hostage. He's lying, Wilson said immediately. Moment you show yourself, you're dead and hostage with you. As Alexis wrestled with the impossible dilemma, Father's voice whispered from memory words describing technique developed before death. The ambient shot. When direct targeting compromise, consider environment as ally. Bullets need not strike target directly to achieve desired effect. Understanding bloomed in pain-clouded mind. She adjusted aim away from the surgeon and Dr. Chambers, focusing on rock face approximately 3 feet left. Specialized round would strike rock with enough force to create shrapnel effect, not precise enough for kill shot, but potentially sufficient for momentary distraction. Preparing final solution, she transmitted. Poseidon team stand by for immediate response to eastern extraction point. We're 15 minutes from your position, Hayes replied. Whatever you're planning, we won't reach you in time. Not asking for rescue, Alexis clarified, requesting follow-up to secure hostage after I create opportunity. Helicopter now visible on horizon 3 minutes before extraction. Alexis made final calculations compensating for crosswinds, bullet drop over extreme distance, diminished powder velocity, and thinning mountain air. The impossible shot is the only shot worth taking, her father had written. She exhaled slowly, centered, being in perfect stillness between heartbeats and squeezed trigger. Czech roared defiance against impossibility. Massive 408 round hurtling toward destiny at nearly 3 times speed of sound. For 3 eternal seconds, Alexis held breath, watching through scope as physics and fate collided in gathering darkness. Bullets struck exactly as intended, impacting rock face with devastating force. Resulting explosion of stone fragments erupted like shrapnel,
spraying the surgeon and Dr. Chambers with debris. The momentary distraction achieved purpose. The surgeon instinctively turned from unexpected threat, weapon momentarily diverted from hostage's head. In that fraction of a second, Dr. Chambers rolled away from captor, creating separation. Target engaged, Alexis reported, cycling Shayax's bolt for follow-up. Hostage mobile, temporarily clear of threat. The surgeon recovered quickly, diving for cover behind rocky outcropping, scanning ridgelines for Alexis's position. Helicopter less than a mile from touchdown. If the surgeon reached extraction, both he and potentially critical nuclear information would disappear forever. Through scope, she located him in covered position, only small portion of shoulder and arm visible as he prepared to dash for the helicopter. "This is for my father," she whispered, finger tightening on trigger. "This is for my mother, for every American operator who died because of your betrayal." Shayax spoke once more, thunderous report echoing across mountains. At 2,100 meters with shattered shoulder and fading light, Alexis Morgan made the shot that would redefine what military snipers considered possible. Round found mark with unerring precision, striking the surgeon's exposed shoulder and continuing through torso. Through scope, she watched him stumble, clearly wounded, but still mobile. "Target hit but still operational," she reported, frustration evident. To astonishment, the surgeon turned directly to her position despite extreme distance. Even wounded, raised his own rifle, gesture of acknowledgement between two masters of the same deadly art. "Ghost Hunter incoming fire, take cover." Wilson's warning came split second before the surgeon's shot cracked past her position. The exchange that followed entered Special Operations legend. Two elite snipers, both wounded, engaging at extraordinary distance as darkness fell across the Afghan mountains. Alexis fired again, third shot in the extraordinary duel. Round struck closer to center mass and the surgeon faltered significantly. His return fire went wide. Helicopter hovered above landing zone, crew hesitant to touch down amidst gunfire. With supreme effort, the surgeon began moving toward the aircraft, leaving visible blood trail. Dr. Chambers had taken refuge behind boulder, temporarily safe but still trapped. "One more shot," Alexis muttered, gathering fading strength for final attempt. Shayax aligned once more, body functioning on muscle memory and determination as consciousness threatened to slip away. Blood-soaked entire left side of tactical gear, vision narrowing to a dim tunnel focused entirely on scope's reticle. The surgeon nearly at helicopter. 10 more seconds and he would escape. Alexis exhaled, finger taking up trigger slack with the last precision failing body could muster. Crack. Final round flew true. Through scope, Alexis watched the surgeon spin violently as bullet found mark, driving him to ground mere feet from extraction. "Target down," she reported, voice barely above a whisper as strength deserted her. "Repeat, target down." Helicopter immediately aborted landing, climbing rapidly and banking away. Pilot clearly decided situation too compromised. "QRF inbound to your position and extraction point. Hold tight." Alexis heard the words but could no longer respond. Shayax slipped from grasp as darkness closed around consciousness. Final thought before surrendering to oblivion was not a victory or vengeance, but completion. Mission begun by father 30 years ago, finally fulfilled by daughter. In command aircraft, Wilson watched Alexis's life signs with growing alarm. Heart rate dropping, blood pressure falling to dangerous levels. Medical team still 10 minutes out. "Stay with us, Ghost Hunter, your father's watching, and damned if he isn't proud." Reynolds led quick reaction force up treacherous ridge, pushing team to physical limits. Which should have been an hour-long ascent they attempted in 20 minutes. 5 minutes from your position, Reynolds blasted through the radio. "Hang in there, Ghost Hunter. This is for everyone."
Ghost Hunter's position. He reported, medical status critical. Telemetry shows significant blood loss. Unconscious, but still with us. Reynolds had started the day skeptical of Alexis's abilities, now racing against time to save her life. Respect transformed by witness performance. At extraction point, Hayes approached fallen form of the surgeon with tactical caution. Target secured, Hayes reported, applying restraints to motionless form. Still alive, but critical. Multiple GSWs, significant blood loss. Dr. Chambers safely recovered, shaken but unharmed. Nuclear physicist already being evacuated with other hostages. "Bring him in alive if possible," Richards instructed. Intelligence values his knowledge of terrorist networks. The surgeon's eyes fluttered open briefly, recognition flashing across features. "She's better than her father," he gasped, blood bubbling at lips. "Tell her." "I knew she would be."
Before Hayes could respond, the surgeon convulsed violently. Hayes leapt back instinctively, recognizing signs of dead man's switch. "Suicide protocol," he shouted, dragging team member clear. Just as the surgeon's body went limp, fast-acting toxin completing what Alexis's bullets began. "Target eliminated," Hayes reported tersely. "Self-administered toxin. No intelligence recovery." On ridgeline, Reynolds and team reached Alexis's position. The legendary sniper lay unconscious beside rifle rocks, stained dark with blood. Ghost Hunter located, initiating emergency medical procedures. Medic worked efficiently, establishing IV access, administering plasma expanders, applying fresh trauma dressings. Lost at least 3 units of blood, pressure dropping, need immediate casevac. Extraction helicopter diverted to your position, ETA 4 minutes. As they waited, Reynolds noticed something clutched in Alexis's hand. Small, worn, leather notebook. Father's journal carried through combat as a talisman of purpose. Carefully, he secured it in tactical vest, ensuring peace of legacy remained with her. Distinctive thump of helicopter rotors grew steadily louder. Not just any medical evacuation. Commands from highest levels prioritized Alexis's retrieval above all operational concerns. "Hang in there, Lieutenant," Reynolds urged. "Still got range record to break back at Coronado." "Ghost Hunter en route to Field Hospital," he transmitted as helicopter lifted off. "Been an honor to serve with her." "Honor was ours," Wilson replied. "We just witnessed history." At compound, Hayes retrieved item from the surgeon's body, small flash drive and protective case. Found intelligence material on target, appears to be digital storage device. "Secure and delivered to command immediately," Richards instructed. Hayes sealed device in evidence bag, unaware it contained answers to questions haunting Morgan family for 30 years, and secrets that would shake foundations of American intelligence operations. In evacuation helicopter, trauma surgeons worked frantically to stabilize Alexis. Vital signs fluctuated dangerously, body hovering a threshold between life and death. "Stay with us, Lieutenant. Mission's complete. Time to come home." Aboard command aircraft, Wilson sat monitoring Alexis's medical telemetry with the focus of man watching own daughter fight for survival. "She'll make it," Commander Richards assured. "She's Mark Morgan's daughter, after all." As aircraft began return journey, Wilson envisioned training programs emerging from mission. The Morgan method. New generation of precision shooters who understand impossible shot is sometimes only shot worth taking. In Field Hospital's operating theater, surgeons fought to repair Alexis's shattered shoulder. Damage extensive. Shattered bone, severed tendons, compromised nerve pathways. "Will she shoot again?" Lead surgeon was asked. "If anyone can overcome this injury, someone with her determination." As surgeons worked, flash drive recovered from the surgeon, analyzed by intelligence specialists in secure facility, discovery sent shockwaves through command structure. Evidence of decades-long conspiracy within American intelligence agencies, tentacles reaching into the highest echelons of government. The surgeon hadn't operated alone. Part of shadowy organization known only as the Directive, former intelligence and special operations personnel, gone rogue selling skills and knowledge to the highest bidder. Among names implicated, Admiral Jonathan Westfield, current director of Special Operations Command and man who authorized the original Somalia mission in 1993. Pieces finally falling into place. Why Mark Morgan specifically targeted in Mogadishu, why Emma Morgan eliminated 5 years ago, why Alexis drawn into elaborate trap. They hadn't just eliminated threats, they protected secrets that could destroy careers, topple administrations, and rewrite the narrative of American foreign policy for the past 3 decades. As intelligence processed, Alexis Morgan fought own battle in post-operative recovery, body pushed beyond normal human endurance, while tested against ultimate adversary, death itself. Wilson maintained vigil beside hospital bed in recovery ward, weathered face, usually impassive mask of professional detachment, now betrayed depth of concern. "You kept promise, Chief," Alexis whispered, eyes fluttering open briefly. "Protected me after all." Wilson took her hand gently. "Your father would have done same for my child. Rest now. Mission's complete." As Alexis drifted back into healing sleep, Wilson reflected on the journey bringing them to this moment, a 30-year circle closing with both justice and revelation. The surgeon dead, but the larger conspiracy it represented remained a threat, tendrils woven through institutions they had sworn to serve. This wasn't the end of Alexis Morgan's story, merely closing one chapter and opening another, challenging not just physical recovery, but understanding of nation and institution she pledged to defend. In drug-induced dreams, Alexis saw father as she imagined in final moments in Mogadishu, fighting against impossible odds to protect brothers in arms. He nodded with silent approval, passing the torch of unfinished mission to his daughter's capable hands. The legacy sniper had fulfilled his inheritance, but the greatest challenges still lay ahead. Military transport plane hummed steadily across the Atlantic, carrying precious human cargo back to American soil. In specially equipped medical bay, Alexis Morgan drifted between consciousness and sedated sleep, body beginning the long journey of healing. 6 days had passed since Afghanistan operation, 6 days since shots redefining the boundaries of military marksmanship, 6 days since finally confronting and eliminating man responsible for parents' deaths. Wilson sat beside her, presence constant. Despite the demands of operational debriefings and after-action reviews, something changed in the old warrior, a softening of professional detachment, a reawakening of human connections suppressed through decades of combat. The flash drive. Did they recover it? Alexis murmured, voice rough from intubation during surgery. Rest, Lieutenant. Plenty of time for debriefing when stateside. But Alexis was too well trained in reading subtle cues. They found something, didn't they? Something beyond the surgeon. After moments' hesitation, Wilson nodded slightly. Intelligence still processing data. Initial findings suggest a larger organization behind the surgeon's operations. Codename the Directive. American, Alexis asked, though already suspecting the answer. Some, Wilson confirmed grimly. Former intelligence, special operations, high-level military people with access, training, and moral flexibility to sell both to the highest bidder. This confirmation aligned with suspicions Alexis harbored since discovering Mother's research files years earlier. The surgeon hadn't been a lone wolf, part of a sophisticated network operating in the shadows of legitimate government operations for decades. The directive appears to have originated during the late Cold War, Wilson continued, keeping his voice low despite the privacy of the medical transport. Former CIA, military intelligence, and special operators who believed official channels too constrained by legal and moral boundaries. Shadow government, Alexis whispered, implications staggering. More like shadow military-industrial complex, Wilson corrected. For right price, provided intelligence training and direct action capabilities to anyone from foreign governments to terrorist organizations, always with sufficient distance and deniability to protect their core.
Membership. My father discovered them, she concluded. In Somalia, why he was targeted, Wilson nodded slowly. Evidence suggests he intercepted communications indicating American assets deliberately compromised. When collecting proof for command, the directive activated the surgeon to eliminate him. And my mother continued investigation until they killed her too. Got closer than anyone to exposing them, Wilson confirmed. Files from the surgeon's drive include surveillance reports on her activities right until death. And now they know about me, what I've discovered. Wilson's expression hardened, which is why transported under maximum security protocols. Official record states Lieutenant Morgan critically wounded and evacuated to Germany. Only handful know you're returning to States. Hayes and Reynolds, she asked, concerned for SEAL operators who witnessed truth firsthand. Sequestered for debriefing at undisclosed location. Wilson assured families quietly relocated as precaution. Alexis closed eyes, weight of responsibility settling heavily upon wounded shoulders. Personal quest for justice evolved into something far larger. Potential national security crisis threatening the integrity of American military and intelligence operations worldwide. Get rest, Wilson advised, seeing exhaustion etched in features. When we land, decisions to make, difficult ones. As Alexis drifted back into medicated sleep, dreams filled not with closure expected after eliminating the surgeon, but with shadowy figures in government offices, faceless operators in foreign countries, and growing realization that father's mission, now her mission, far from complete. The war had only just begun. Naval Medical Center, Bethesda, 3 weeks after Afghanistan. Lieutenant Morgan, I need to be direct. The damage to your shoulder is extensive. The bullet fragmented the scapula, severed 2 major tendons, and caused significant nerve damage. Alexis sat motionless, her left arm immobilized in a complex medical brace. Sunlight through blinds cast prison bar shadows across her hospital gown. 3 weeks of surgeries had left her body weakened, but her resolve hardened. "What's your assessment?" she asked, voice carrying the precision that defined her professional life. The therapist, Dr. Mitchell, according to her nameplate, consulted the chart. Most patients with these injuries would face medical discharge. Full range of motion is unlikely to return. Precision motor control will be significantly compromised. And for shooting, but Mitchell hesitated, competitive or professional shooting would be unrealistic. "I'm sorry." Alexis nodded once, processing this information with the same methodical approach she applied on the firing range. Outside, Master Chief Wilson waited, his weathered face masking the guilt he carried, failing to protect Mark Morgan's daughter as promised decades earlier. Dr. Mitchell emerged, shaking her head slightly at Wilson's questioning glance. She took it well. Too well. That's not always a good sign. Wilson understood immediately. Alexis was compartmentalizing, the technique that allowed snipers to function in battle chaos. Inside, he found Alexis standing at the window, staring at the grounds with focused intensity. Her athletic frame now bordered on gaunt, but her eyes remained unchanged, analytical, seeing patterns where others saw chaos. "They want to medical board me," she said without turning. "Standard procedure for injuries this severe," Wilson replied. "You completed the mission. 12 hostages rescued, the surgeon eliminated. You've earned retirement." Now she turned, fire igniting behind her eyes. "And the directive? The organization that killed my father, my mother, that continues operating within our government. Is that mission complete?" "Chief Intelligence is still analyzing data from the surgeon's flash drive," Wilson said carefully. "Findings suggest connections to at least 3 serving flag officers and several former agency directors. This goes deeper than anyone anticipated." "And they'll bury it," Alexis stated, "just like Somalia. Just like my mother's investigations, they'll classify it beyond reach, eliminate evidence, eliminate witnesses." Wilson couldn't argue. The initial excitement over the intelligence breakthrough had transformed into institutional silence. Debriefings became increasingly narrow, focused on tactical details rather than strategic implications. "I won't let that happen," Wilson said, meeting her gaze. "I've submitted retirement papers effective immediately." Surprise flickered across Alexis's face, her first genuine emotion in weeks. "Why?" "Because some missions don't end when you return to base," Wilson replied. "Your father understood that. Your mother understood that. Now I understand too." He reached into his jacket and removed a small encrypted tablet. "Command doesn't know I have this. Complete copy of the surgeon's files. Everything recovered from the flash drive. Names, operations, financial trails, 30 years of the directive's activities." Alexis took the tablet with her good hand. "This is treason, Chief." "No," Wilson corrected firmly. "This is loyalty to our oath, to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. The directive represents cancer within our institutions. That isn't the country I've spent 40 years defending." Alexis activated the tablet, screen illuminating with encrypted files. Operational report, surveillance logs, financial transactions, personnel fields, an entire shadow organization documented in cold precision. "Why give this to me?" "Because you're Mark Morgan's daughter," Wilson replied simply. "Because you've proven worthy of his legacy. Because you're the only person I trust to finish what he started." The tablet pinged with an incoming message. A video file appeared, time-stamped 30 minutes earlier. The Intelligence Analysis Center at Langley. Men in tactical gear, systematically removing computer equipment and files. "They're purging the evidence," Wilson said grimly. A second message appeared, coordinates, a time, and a simple phrase, "Ghost Hunter. Surgical precision required. The directive knows, 1900 hours." Alexis looked up at Wilson. "Decision already made. I need my rifle." Wilson's expression hardened. "Your Chai attack was officially logged as damaged beyond repair. Unofficially, it's in a secure location with your equipment." "The therapist said I'll never shoot professionally again," Alexis called as Wilson moved toward the door.
Wilson paused. What do you think your father would say about that? For the first time in weeks, a ghost of a smile crossed Alexis's face. He'd say the impossible shot is the only shot worth taking. Exactly. We have work to do, Ghost Hunter. Outside the medical center, Wilson made a secure call. She's in. Prepare the safe house and equipment. Find Reynolds. We'll need his expertise. Reynolds is secure. Transport arranged for 2200 hours. What about her injury? Wilson watched an ambulance arrive. Lights flashing silently remind her of human fragility and resilience. Her body may be damaged, but her spirit is intact. Sometimes that's all that matters. The Safe House, a nondescript cabin in Virginia's Blue Ridge Mountains. Remote enough for privacy, close enough for operational necessity. Alexis sat on the porch, the Chi-Tac balanced across her lap as she field-stripped it despite her injured shoulder. The familiar weight brought comfort, connecting her to her father's legacy and her own identity. "How's it feel?" Reynolds asked, leaning against the railing. The SEAL operator had changed since Afghanistan, less skeptical, more deferential. "Like an old friend," Alexis replied, "but also a stranger. My body doesn't respond the way it used to." Wilson mentions you're developing a new shooting technique. Necessity drives innovation. The nerve damage affects trigger control, so I'm adapting a pressure plate system using different muscle groups. Wilson emerged with coffee. 3 weeks into their unofficial operation, the former Master Chief had transformed, civilian clothes, beard growth, watchful eyes of a man operating outside the system he had served for decades. The new firing mechanism is ready for testing. Hayes sent custom parts through our secure channel, should achieve sub-MOA accuracy despite shoulder limitations. "Any progress identifying a leadership structure?" Alexis asked. "Files point to Admiral Westfield as operational director of the directive. Financial records show payments through Cayman accounts dating back 15 years. But he's just..."
The current face, the organization predates him by decades. "The real question," Reynolds interjected, "is why they're accelerating operations. The Langley purge was just the beginning. They've reassigned 6 senior intelligence analysts this week. Something has them spooked." "Us," Alexis stated simply. "They know we have the files. They know we survived. They know we're coming, which means our window is closing. Westfield testifies before the Senate Intelligence Committee in 4 days. Our best opportunity." "Move how?" Reynolds asked. "We can't arrest the Director of Special Operations Command based on stolen files." "We can expose him publicly," Alexis replied. "Force an investigation the directive can't contain." "The Senate hearing, will it be public?" "Partially. Opening statements televised before moving to classified session." "I need line of sight to the hearing room," Alexis decided. "Not first shot, for surveillance. If Westfield realizes he's exposed, his reaction could confirm guilt. The Capitol complex has counter-sniper teams covering every approach. You'd never get into position undetected." "I don't need to be undetected. I need to be official." Wilson called on immediately. "Capitol Police, Special Response Team. They maintain overwatch during high-profile hearings. With the right credentials, we could put Ghost Hunter in position with full authorization," Reynolds finished. "But those credentials would need to be perfect." "Hayes can help with that," Wilson replied. "He has contacts who share our concerns about the directive." The makeshift shooting range behind the cabin was crude but functional, targets from 100 to 600 meters. Reynolds helped Alexis set up the CHT TAC, now modified with custom stock and pressure plate trigger system, allowing her to fire using her right hand rather than damaged left shoulder. "The balance is different," Reynolds observed. "Center of gravity shifted rearward." "Manageable," Alexis replied, settling into position. The new stance felt awkward, body alignment wrong according to traditional doctrine. But traditional methods were no longer an option. She squeezed. The rifle roared. 2 inches right of center, Reynolds reported. "Respectable, but not up to your standards. Adjust. Pressure sensitivity reduced by 20%. By the 5th shot, rounds were striking center mass consistently, ready for 300 meters. The process repeated. Shoot, adjust, shoot again. With each distance increased, challenges multiplied. Wind factors became more significant. Modified position revealed new limitations. Pain grew more distracting. At 600 m, sweat beaded on Alexis's forehead despite cool mountain air. "One final shot," she said, voice tight with controlled pain. "Wind picking up 15 knots, gusting to 20 knots. Difficult conditions. Good. We won't have perfect conditions in D.C." She settled into final position, visualizing the sequence. Breathe, hold, apply pressure, follow through.
The Chaytak fired, its report echoing across the valley. Reynolds studied the target through a scope, then turned to Alexis, respect evident. Dead center half-inch group at 600 meters with modified system and compromised position. That shouldn't be possible. It wasn't, Alexis acknowledged, until it was. Hayes came through, Wilson announced. Capitol Police credentials prepared. You'll be Officer Alexandra Miller, counter-sniper team assigned to Senate Intelligence Committee. Timeline, 48 hours until insertion. Westfield testifies following morning. Alexis nodded, mind plotting trajectories, angles, contingencies. Not for a kill shot. Those days were behind her, but for precision surveillance that would expose the directive to public scrutiny. Later that night, as Reynolds and Wilson slept, Alexis sat alone on the porch, her father's journal open in her lap. The worn pages contained not just shooting techniques, but observations of a man who sensed corruption within his command structure. On the final page, written days before his death in Somalia, "When institutions we serve become corrupted, the true patriot must stand apart. Loyalty to the oath, not the organization. Truth over tradition, justice over expediency. These principles define us when all else fails." Alexis closed the journal, decision reaffirmed. In 2 days, she would stand in the shadows of power to complete her father's final mission. The impossible shot awaited. Washington, D.C. gleamed in early morning sunlight, Capitol Dome radiant against clear blue sky. From the unmarked Capitol Police vehicle, Alexis surveyed the security perimeter with professional detachment. "Identification ready?" Wilson asked from the driver's seat, his credentials, identifying him as Supervisory Officer William Grant. Alexis nodded. Fake ID badge, a constant reminder of their precarious position. One mistake, one system flag, one recognition, and the operation would collapse. "Remember," Reynolds advised from the back seat, "you're Alexandra Miller, counter-sniper team transferred from FBI hostage rescue team. Exemplary service, but no exceptional achievements that might draw attention." "Understood," Alexis replied, adjusting her collar to ensure shoulder brace remained concealed. Medication dulled discomfort, but maintaining the charade required vigilance. Final comms check. Alexis touched her nearly invisible earpiece. Channel secure. Equipment status. Modified observation kit complete. The specialized case contained not a sniper rifle, but high-powered observation system, Chaytak scope mounted on a stabilized platform with recording capabilities. The checkpoint guard examined their credentials. "I have SRT deployment authorized, but I'm not seeing Officer Miller on the roster." Wilson didn't hesitate. "She should be there. Last-minute addition from HRT liaison. Check with Watch Commander Phillips. He authorized the personnel change at 0600. The guard made a brief call. "You're cleared. Proceed to Staging Area B for equipment verification." The staging area supervisor, Lieutenant Farrow, mid-40s, former military bearing, approached as they unloaded equipment. "You must be the additional counter-sniper element I was informed about." Wilson nodded. "Officer Grant, Miller, and Reynolds. Counter-sniper team assigned to Senate Intelligence Committee hearing." Farrow's gaze lingered on Alexis. "Officer Miller, you're new to the unit." "Yes, sir. Transfer from HRT, specialized in Overwatch operations." The next 15 minutes were excruciating. Each piece of gear examined, serial numbers checked, communication systems tested. "Non-standard configuration," Farrell noted, examining the customized mount. "Medical accommodation, shoulder injury during HRT deployment." Farrell made a notation. "You're cleared for position Echo southeast corner of Russell Building, 6th floor. Standard counter-sniper protocols apply." As they gathered equipment, Farrell added, "Admiral Westfield's security detail has implemented additional measures. Expect heightened scrutiny." The implication was clear. The directive was taking no chances. Position Echo was a small maintenance room with window overlooking the plaza where Westfield's motorcade would arrive, providing clear line of sight to the hearing room entrance. "Time check," Wilson announced. 0730 hours. Westfield's motorcade scheduled for 0900. Security suite begins at 0800. Alexis calibrated the observation system. Through high-powered optics, she could clearly see the hearing room entrance 300 meters away. Observation only until Westfield enters building. Once he's proceeding to hearing room, I'll activate recording system. And if he detects surveillance? He won't, but if he does, his reaction alone could be telling. The throbbing in her shoulder had intensified despite medication, reminder of her confrontation with the surgeon, physical limitations that would have ended most snipers. But she wasn't most snipers. "Security team approaching," Reynolds warned. "Standard sweep pattern starting from north wing." 10 minutes later, a knock announced the security team. Wilson presented their credentials. Purpose of deployment: Overwatch for Senate Intelligence Committee hearing. Standard security protocol for high-profile testimony. Be advised, Admiral Westfield's security detail will conduct secondary verification approximately 15 minutes before his arrival. After they departed, Reynolds released a tense breath. Secondary verification. That's not standard protocol. That's the directive, ensuring their man is protected from all angles. At RO 845, Wilson tensed. Westfield.
Motorcade approaching perimeter, 5 minutes ahead of schedule. Tactical adjustment, Reynolds assessed. Alexis activated recording system. Secondary verification team should be here any minute. As if on cue, a sharp knock echoed. 2 men in plain clothes entered, their bearing unmistakably military. Despite civilian attire, security verification, Admiral Westfield's detail. The second man moved directly to the observation platform. Modified mount non-standard medical accommodation, Alexis explained. He studied her for a long moment. You look familiar, Officer Miller. A dangerous moment. I transferred from HR 3 months ago, perhaps from joint training exercises? He nodded slightly. Maintain your position until hearing concludes. After they departed, Reynolds moved to the door. That second man recognized you. Possibly, but not enough to compromise the operation. Through her optics, Alexis watched 3 identical black SUVs pull into the restricted area. The center door opened and Admiral Jonathan Westfield emerged, tall, imposing, the perfect image of military authority. Alexis increased magnification, focusing entirely on Westfield's face. 2 minutes into testimony, he paused, taking a sip of water. A seemingly normal action, but Alexis caught something else, a subtle hand signal to his security chief. Movement at rear entrance, Reynolds warned. Westfield's detail mobilizing. They're preparing to extract him, Wilson realized. Something's triggered their security protocols. Through her earpiece, a new transmission, Hayes' voice on secure channel. Ghost Hunter Capitol Police database shows security flag on your credentials. Extraction teams mobilized to all observation positions approximately 3 minutes before your position is compromised. Wilson moved immediately to equipment. We need to evacuate. Not yet, Alexis countered, attention fixed on Westfield. He's about to make a mistake. Through optics, she watched Westfield receive a note from an aide. As he read it, a momentary break in his composed facade revealed something raw and panicked, a man whose carefully constructed world was collapsing. There we have it. Have what? His reaction to learning Ghost Hunter is here, she explained, stepping away from observation platform. The recognition, fear, guilt, all recorded in high definition. Combined with the surgeon's files, it's the evidence we need. They exited position Echo with practice efficiency, leaving no trace of their true purpose. As they moved toward extraction, security alerts echoed through the building system, reacting too late. In the service area, they changed from Capitol Police uniforms to maintenance worker coveralls. Reynolds led them to a nondescript maintenance van that would attract no attention leaving Capitol grounds. As Wilson drove away, Alexis reviewed the recording. The evidence was irrefutable. Westfield's reaction revealing more than any confession. Hayes will ensure this reaches the right people, Wilson assured her. Senior members of Congress, Justice Department officials who aren't compromised, trusted media. The directive won't be able to contain this. Alexis nodded, satisfaction mixing with exhaustion as adrenaline began to fade. My father would be proud. This is what he died trying to accomplish. And you completed his mission against impossible odds. As they merged into regular Washington traffic, disappearing into the anonymity of the nation's capital, Alexis allowed herself a moment of completion. The directive had survived for decades by eliminating threats. They wouldn't go quietly. There would be countermeasures, retaliation attempts to discredit witnesses. The war wasn't over, but today, a decisive battle had been won. Ghost Hunter had taken the impossible shot, and as always, her aim was true. 3 days after the Capitol operation, Alexis stood at Coronado's sniper range where her journey began. The facility was empty, leaving her alone with Wilson and ghosts of the past. Her modified Chatak was mounted on the shooting bench, custom alterations accommodating permanent shoulder limitations. The weapon looked different, adapted, evolved, but still deadly effective. Are you sure about this? Wilson asked, standing beside her with the demeanor of a man who had found unexpected peace. My father set the original record, Alexis replied. It seems fitting that I established the new one. The target stood at 1,500 meters, beyond previous record,
beyond what conventional wisdom considered possible, but conventional wisdom had never accounted for Ghost Hunter. Hayes sent an update where Wilson mentioned Senate Intelligence Committee has launched formal investigation into Westfield. 3 other directive members identified and placed on administrative leave. Alexis nodded, focused on the task at hand, and Reynolds back with his SEAL team, officially unaware of our operation, career intact. The physical therapist was wrong, Wilson observed, about you never shooting professionally again. A small smile crossed Alexis's face. She evaluated my injury according to conventional parameters. I've never been conventional. She settled into position, modified stock fitting against reconfigured stance. Through scope, 1,500-meter target appeared as a distant speck. Alexis breathed deeply, centering herself. The pain in her shoulder had become a constant companion, present, a reminder of battles fought and survived. She squeezed the trigger. The Chaytak roared, report echoing across empty range. Direct hit, Wilson announced, a voice despite having witnessed her extraordinary shooting before. Dead center, new range record officially established. What happens now? Wilson asked as they packed equipment. Now I do what my father would have done. I continue the mission. The directive is exposed, Wilson pointed out. Westfield and associates will face justice. Your father's death avenged. The directive is wounded, not dead.
Eliminated, Alexis corrected. Organizations like that don't die easily. The fight continues. And your role, your military career, is over. Cover identity compromised. Alexis smiled. Not tight, controlled expression of soldier on mission, but something more genuine. There are other ways to serve, other skills I can contribute. Hayes has connections in intelligence community, people who recognize corruption but lacked evidence to act. They're establishing new oversight mechanism, independent of traditional command structure. They want you. They want Ghost Hunter. Alexis clarified, not as shooter, but analyst, investigator. Someone who identifies patterns others miss. They reached range headquarters, where Memorial Wall displayed achievements of legendary snipers. Wilson led her to a recently updated section alongside her father's record. New entry, Lieutenant Alexis Ghost Hunter Morgan's 75th Ranger Regiment, range record, 1,500 meters, distinguished service in Afghanistan, 2012. Alexis traced the inscription, emotion briefly overcoming composure. He would be proud, Wilson said quietly, not just of your shooting, but your integrity, your willingness to stand apart when institutions failed. He taught me that, Alexis replied, through his journals, his example. The impossible shot is the only shot worth taking. As they left Coronado, Wilson asked one final question. Do you regret any of it? The cost has been high. No, Alexis answered. Every shot I've taken, every decision made has led to this moment. My father began mission 30 years ago in Somalia. Today, that mission is complete. She extended her hand to Wilson, not military salute, but gesture between equals, between friends who faced impossible odds together. Thank you, Chief, for keeping your promise to my father, for standing with me when others wouldn't. Wilson clasped her hand firmly. The honor was mine, Ghost Hunter. As Alexis drove away, leaving behind military career that defined her life, she felt not loss, but transformation. Her father's legacy lived on, not just in records or achievements, but principles. Championed truth over deception, justice over expediency, loyalty to oath rather than corrupted institutions. Ghost Hunter had completed her father's mission. Now she would forge her own path, guided by the same unwavering principles, facing new challenges with the same uncompromising resolve. The impossible shot had been taken, the target struck, the mission accomplished. But legacy continued, passed from father to daughter, generation to generation.
an unbroken line of those willing to stand apart when necessary, uphold oath when institutions faltered, take the impossible shot when all other options failed. And in that legacy, Mark Morgan lived on, through his daughter's hands, through her eyes, through her unwavering commitment to principles for which he had given his life. 6 months later, nondescript office building in Northern Virginia housed what officially didn't exist. Specialized oversight unit with no name, no public funding, no formal acknowledgement within intelligence community. Alexis Morgan, now operating under codename Kestrel, reviewed intelligence displayed on her workstation with same methodical precision once applied to long-range shooting. Patterns emerge from data. Financial transactions, personnel movements, operational anomalies, invisible to conventional analysis, but clear to her specialized perception. Confirmation from Hamburg, announced Hayes, entering with tablet. Cell structure identified. Surveillance established. That's third remnant cell we've located. The directive rebuilding faster than anticipated. Different leadership, same methodologies, Hayes observed. Adapting, but not evolving. This was a new battlefield, not mountains or deserts, but shadowy realm of intelligence and counterintelligence. The directive leadership, decimated by Senate investigation, had fragmented into smaller, independent cells, pursuing same objectives: profit through betrayal, power through manipulation. Wilson's imposition, Alexis asked. Hayes nodded. Established cover as military contractor. Made initial contact with Hamburg's cell's recruitment element. Reynolds entered. Surveillance package active, receiving real-time data from Wilson's location. Alexis studied incoming feed audio-video biometric data from Wilson's covert surveillance. The former Master Chief had refused true retirement, volunteering for the most dangerous assignment, infiltrating the directive's remnants from within. They're being cautious, she noted. Limited information, compartmentalized knowledge, frequent security verification. But they still need operators, Reynolds pointed out. People with specialized skills and access. That necessity creates vulnerability. Alexis moved to central display, showing the directive's known connections. Her left arm remained in supportive brace, permanent reminder of confrontation with the surgeon. Their recruitment approach has changed, she observed. Less emphasis on senior leadership, more emphasis on technical specialists. They're building a different kind of organization, less dependent on official positions, more reliant on technological advantage. An urgent alert flashed on Alexis's secure device. Asset compromised. Exfiltration required. Hamburg operation critical failure. Wilson's been made, Reynolds stated, moving to operations console. Activating emergency extraction protocols. How cover was perfect, approach methodical. Hayes reviewed data. Facial recognition system in Hamburg Financial District. The directive has accessed German security infrastructure. If the directive could compromise national security systems in allied countries, their reach exceeded previous assessments. Extraction options? Alexis asked. Wilson's current position is a cafe in Hamburg's warehouse district. Nearest extraction team 20 minutes out. He won't survive 20 minutes if positively identified, Hayes stated grimly. A new message from Wilson. 3 tangos approaching southeast corner, 4th on roof opposite, 5th unknown, proceeding with Kestrel protocol. Alexis's expression tightened. Kestrel protocol was an emergency contingency, high-risk option when extraction impossible and capture unacceptable. He's going to eliminate threat and self-extract, she translated. Create confusion through aggressive counterattack rather than evasion. When satellite imagery appeared, it showed thermal signatures. Wilson and Cafe, 3 approaching from the southeast as reported, 1 on rooftop, 5th in vehicle at street corner. Classic killbox configuration. Alexis studied the tactical situation with detached precision. Rooftop position is primary shooter. 3. Approaching our assault team. Vehicle is containment and extraction. Standard directive elimination protocol. Hayes confirmed. Same methodology used on your mother. The reminder sent a chill through Alexis, but she remained focused. Wilson sees it too. He'll neutralize rooftop threat first, then use confusion to engage assault team. A single gunshot, suppressed but audible on sensitive microphones, followed by thermal signature on the rooftop collapsing. Wilson immediately abandoned Cafe through the rear exit, emerging into a narrow alley. He's created engagement channel, Alexis noted with professional approval, forcing approach through confined space where numerical advantage neutralized. 2 assault team members pursued Wilson into alley, third moved to cut off escape. Vehicle began repositioning for containment. What followed was a masterclass in close quarters combat. Within seconds, both pursuers neutralized with career special operator precision. Third assault team member attempted withdrawal. Wilson pursued, eliminating this threat before it could rejoin vehicle operator. 4 down, 1 remaining, Reynolds tracked. Driver attempting to extract. The vehicle moved rapidly away, driver recognizing an operation had failed catastrophically. He won't make it, Alexis predicted, watching Wilson secure motorcycle, likely positioned as part of emergency extraction plan. The motorcycle pursued fleeing vehicle through Hamburg's narrow streets. When vehicle attempted to merge onto larger thoroughfare, Wilson executed precision maneuver, forcing controlled crash against concrete barrier. Final thermal signature showed momentary movement, then stillness. Target neutralized, Hayes confirmed. Wilson proceeding to secondary extraction point. Alert Hamburg Station.
Chief, Wilson needs immediate exfiltration. As Operations Center transitioned to next mission phase, Alexis took moment of private reflection. The directive had evolved, adapted to exposure of previous incarnation. But so had she, from military sniper to intelligence operator, from ghost hunter to kestrel. Battle space changed, but fundamental conflict remained. Same those corrupting system from within versus those protecting it. Her father fought this battle 30 years earlier in Somalia. She continued it in Afghanistan and Washington. Now it extended to Hamburg and beyond, global chess match with highest possible stakes. Her phone vibrated with message from Wilson. Package secure, returning to nest. Kestrel protocol complete. A small smile crossed Alexis's face. Wilson had survived, not just survived but triumphed against overwhelming odds. Old warriors still honoring promise made to her father 30 years earlier. The directive remained threat, but no longer invulnerable. They had struck at her family, country, principles. Now she struck back, not with sniper bullet, but same precision, same unwavering resolve. Kestrel, small hunting falcon known for hovering while spotting prey at great distances, appropriate codename for new role. Still hunter, still deadly accurate in a different domain. The impossible shot continued in new form, and as always, her aim remained true. 1 year after confrontation with the surgeon in Afghanistan mountains, Alexis stood on a windswept bluff of Arlington National Cemetery, watching honor guard fold flag from her father's coffin. After 30 years, Mark "Phantom" Morgan had finally returned home. Recovery of his remains unexpected outcome of operations against the directive. Intelligence from Hamburg cell led to remote compound in Somalia, where documentation revealed previously unknown gravesite near Mogadishu. DNA confirmation immediate and definitive. Long missing SEAL sniper found at last. Wilson stood beside her, face solemn as ceremonial rifles fired salute. Reynolds and Hayes positioned behind them, part of a small gathering including select Special Operations community members. No media, no public announcement. Just as Mark Morgan lived, final internment remained away from the spotlight. As honor guard presented folded flag, Alexis accepted with right hands, left arm secured in a permanent brace.
physical reminder of her sacrifice, particularly poignant in the moment of closure. "Your father would be proud," Wilson said quietly, "not just of what you have accomplished, but who you've become." Alexis nodded, emotions tightly controlled but present. "There were times I wasn't sure we'd ever find him." The past year had seen remarkable progress in shadow war against the directive remnants, Hamburg operation just beginning. Armed with recovered intelligence, they systematically identified and neutralized operational elements in Brussels, Zurich, and Singapore. "New leadership structure identified," Alexis inquired, maintaining composure. "Still preliminary, but appears to be targeted elimination protocol specifically designed for you. Chambers authorized 3 months ago." Wilson's expression darkened. "They're hunting Ghost Hunter." "They're trying," Alexis corrected, "but they've forgotten something important." "What's that?" A small, determined smile crossed her face. "I was never prey. I was always hunter." Alexis took final moment with father's flag before passing to Wilson for safekeeping. During operational briefing, he used to say, "Precision isn't just mechanics or calculations," she recalled. "It's patience, waiting for perfect moment when all elements align. The moment when the impossible shot becomes inevitable." Exactly. Vienna will be that moment for Chambers and the directive, culmination of everything we've built since Afghanistan. As the team moved inside, transitioning from Arlington's solemnity to operational sense-focused professionalism, Alexis felt a sense of completion forming. Mission begun with father in Somalia, continued through mother's investigations, fallen to her in Afghanistan, approached final phase. Chambers represented last threat of the original organization, final target to complete the mission her father died attempting 30 years earlier. "Vienna planning begins now," she announced. "Full operational spectrum, maximum precision, zero collateral impact. Objective, not elimination, but exposure." "Your father once told me something I've never forgotten," Wilson said quietly, as the team dispersed. "In our line of work, we rarely see full impact of our actions. We take a shot, complete mission, move on, never knowing how many lives saved, threats prevented. But sometimes we get to see a mission through to completion, to know with certainty that what we've done has mattered. Vienna will provide that certainty. For my father, my mother, everyone, the directive harmed over 30 years." The legacy of Hunter continued, father to daughter, generation to generation. The impossible shot had become her signature, inheritance, purpose. And in 1 month in Vienna, Ghost Hunter would complete her father's mission once and for all. 3 months after their Arlington ceremony, a crisp autumn morning in Vienna, they witnessed the culmination of 30 years of pursuit. The European Security Conference, crowded with diplomats, intelligence officials, and media, became the stage for the directive's final act. As Anthony Chambers approached the podium for his keynote address, screens throughout the conference center simultaneously displayed classified documents, financial records, and operational details linking him directly to 30 years of treachery. His expression, captured by dozens of cameras, told the story that no denial could counter. Back in their Virginia headquarters, Alexis watched the scene unfold with quiet satisfaction. "Precision execution," Hayes remarked, observing the chaos erupting across international news channels. "Not a shot fired, yet more devastating than any bullet." Wilson placed a hand on Alexis's shoulder, her good one. Mark would consider this his finest operation. As global intelligence agencies scrambled to contain the fallout, the organization that had operated in the shadows for 30 years finally faced the light of public scrutiny. The directive was finished. That evening, Alexis visited Arlington one last time, placing her father's dog tags beside his headstone. "Mission complete," she whispered. The impossible shot had finally found its mark.